Hello everybody and welcome back to another Oscar prediction video where today I will be taking a look at the category of Best Documentary Short Film. So this category is tricky. As you may know if you've been keeping up with these videos, I watched all 5 of the animated short nominees and all but 1 of the live action short nominees. So I was feeling pretty good about myself, and then I started looking up the documentary shorts, and the thing is, it's not so much an issue of accessibility. One of them is on Netflix, 2 are on HBO Max, which I'm not technically sure if we have anymore, but I could try. I think the thing that really concerned me, A, timing. I was sort of running low on time, and B, the themes and the issues that are covered in these documentaries. From everything I was hearing, it's like, oh, these are really hard to watch. And I think if I tried marathoning them the same way I did with the animated shorts and live action shorts, then by the end I would be totally emotionally drained. I think I'm going to try to catch up on a few of these in the coming days leading up to the Oscars, the ones that I can see. But I I think for my own mental health, with everything that we're going through in this country right now, I feel sad, and everything feels bleak enough. I don't want to do this to myself. I'm sorry to the filmmakers behind these shorts, but live action short was surprisingly pretty lighthearted this year, and animated short followed suit. They saved all the heavy stuff for documentary short, which has me a bit concerned about how to predict this category, but I think I've done enough research into the shorts themselves that I think I should have a fairly good idea of what's going to win. But keep in mind that I am less informed with this category than I was with the other shorts categories. Fifth most likely to win is Children No More, Were and Are None. So this documentary involves a group of protesters who are protesting the war in Israel by doing a silent protest by standing on the side of the road and showing pictures of children who have been killed in the war. And from what I understand, most of the short is silent. Most of the short is just watching these people protest and hold up these pictures and watching angry people come up to them and accuse them of such and such. And yeah, so not a lighthearted one to start out with. Almost none of these are lighthearted. And I think the main reason I have this at 5 is that, from what I understand, I think other shorts in this category cover a similar theme to this short, but in a more powerful way. I think the fact that so much of this short is silent, and again, haven't seen it, I don't know if I can officially say how well this works, but I've heard from people who have seen all the shorts that this is not one of the more powerful ones. It's simple and it's effective. I've heard people say it's a bit too long. All of these documentary shorts, except one, are over 30 minutes. So, yeah, I've from what I understand, this is not one of the more powerful ones, and my instinct is saying it's probably in last place. Fourth most likely to win is The Devil is Busy. So this documentary takes place in an abortion clinic and follows the life of the staffers as they try to do their jobs while facing harassment from protesters outside. So this is short. The interesting thing about it is the director of the short is the same person who directed the documentary feature Perfect Neighbor, which is up for Best Documentary this year. And initially I was wondering if that might make it more likely that people would vote for it, but I think Perfect Neighbor is probably going to win documentary feature, so I think it's more likely people are just going to vote for that person over there. And from what I hear about this documentary, it's very matter of fact, but it's not likely to change most pro-lifers' minds on the issue. And I think because abortion is such a hot button topic that not all Oscar voters are gonna feel the same way about, my instinct is that this one does get a little bit of pushback. So this could contend. This could get some votes from the people who are really moved by it, but it's HBO Max. I think HBO Max is another more stronger contender in the field. And so while it's not impossible, again, it's the shorts, anything could happen, I do think this is number 4. Third most likely to win is Perfectly a Strangeness. So this is sort of the wild card of the nominees. This tells the story of a group of donkeys who stumble across an old astronomical observatory and just the observations that these donkeys make. There's no dialogue. It's almost like a narrative from what I understand. And so I'm going to be totally honest. As I was first looking through the synopsises of all the nominated shorts, my immediate gut reaction is, oh, Perfectly a Strangeness is going to win because it's the non-depressing one. It's the only one that's not going to make you feel like a piece of shit. And if I'm sitting in a theater and I'm watching all 5 back to back, my gut reaction is going to be like, can I vote for the Donkeys one? Because that one made me smile. And so I was really surprised to listen to all these pundits put it at number 5. All these pundits said this one is the least likely to win. So in putting it at number 3 is sort of the midpoint between what my initial gut reaction was and what the pundits are saying. And if this was something like, say, last year's winner, The Only Girl in the Orchestra, where it was an inspiring true story, this is just kind of weird, and it works for some people, but it doesn't work for other people, and that's not going to be enough to win. But the thing is, though, I still think it could just because it's the palate cleanser from everything else in the category. I do think some people are going to be really, really emotionally drained after watching all of these, and they're going to default to it. But yeah, if it was just stronger, if it was just more uplifting in general, then maybe it's tough. I still think this could happen. And if it does happen, you heard it here first. But I've heard so much pushback against this short that I can't justify putting it any higher than 3rd place, unfortunately. Second most likely to win is Armed Only with a Camera, The Life and Death of James Renault. So this documentary is on HBO Max, and it tells the story of a war photographer who went to Ukraine and, spoiler alert, was the first photographer to be killed in Ukraine. Now, from what I understand, this is a very powerful documentary, and also the photographer in question is credited as a co-director, so he would be winning if the short would win. And as I'm sure you may have noticed, the documentary branch of the Academy does like to go with documentaries that cover the Russia and Ukraine conflict, because it is a very important conflict to bring attention to. So this could win. At the same time, though, okay, so I really don't have much justification for putting this at number 2, other than the fact that I think number 1 is stronger. This is just one of those cases where it could win. I've heard some people complain that it feels a little bit too manipulative in terms of it shows you all of the footage that this guy has shot, and it's footage of a lot of people in war-torn countries that are unrelated to this specific war, but they just want to give you the breadth of what this photographer has captured. So it does, I've heard some people sort of say it feels like misery porn, and with all of the very, very heavy nominees in this category, this one might be a bit too much, because they do show you the body of this photographer in detail, and that might be a step too far. Yeah, that I think is solid justification. I have heard that this one is strong, and a good number of people have said that it is their choice, but when I look at the 5 nominees in this category, the one that stands out even more than this one, number 1 most likely to win, is All the Empty Rooms. So this short tells the story of a journalist who is going around to the houses of children who were victims in school shootings. And in particular, he is focusing on the bedrooms of these children, most of whom who have been kept intact since what happened. And just from hearing that description, it sounds incredibly powerful. The fact that this short is the most accessible, it is on Netflix, and Netflix actually has a pretty good reputation with this category. They've won it the past couple of years, and so maybe Netflix just has an edge with this particular voting branch, and you could argue it's the old system of where you didn't have to watch all the nominees to vote. But even then, I think Netflix, they're really, really strong campaigners, and school shootings are such a prevalent issue in this country, unfortunately, that this is going to be impactful, and it does shine a light on the lives of these kids, these lives that were cut short, and this is often a part of the story that gets overlooked in the media coverage. We tend to focus on the shooter and not the victims, and so there is a certain amount of joy to be held because it's focusing on the lives of these kids and how much joy they brought to their families' lives before everything happened. I think this one it's not too depressing. It's just the right amount of serious enough. From everything I've heard from those who have seen all the nominees, they're like, yep, this is the strongest one. So I'm going to go with this one. A part of me still says, but what about the donkey one, just because it's the one that's not depressing? But this seems to be the consensus choice. So if it is the donkey one, I'm going to be really, really upset at myself. But I am going to go with All the Empty Rooms. So thank you very much for watching, and tune in next time when I will be taking a look at the category of Best Film Editing. See you then.